Once upon a time, in a quiet little village nestled by the edge of a deep, dark forest, there lived a poor woodcutter and his 2 children. There was a clever boy named Henry and his sweet little sister, Grace. Times were very hard, and the family often didn't have enough food to fill their bellies. One night, as the children lay awake in their beds, hungry and listening, they heard their stepmother whisper to their father, "We have no food left. Tomorrow we must take the children deep into the forest and leave them there. Maybe someone kind will find them." The father's heart shattered. "I can't do that to my own children," he cried. But his wife was insistent, and eventually he sadly agreed. Henry, being a clever boy, had overheard everything. Very early the next morning, before the sun even peeked over the trees, he snuck outside and filled his pockets with small white pebbles that seemed to glow in the faint moonlight. Later that day, their stepmother led them deep into the winding paths of the woods. As they walked further and further from home, Henry secretly dropped one little pebble at a time, leaving a trail behind them. When night fell, their parents did not return. The forest grew dark and spooky, and Grace began to cry. "Don't worry, Grace," Henry whispered, trying to be brave. "Look, the moon is shining. We can follow the little white stones all the way home." And so they did. The pebbles sparkled like tiny stars scattered on the forest floor, a glowing path leading them out of the darkness. By the time the sun rose, they were safely back home. But when their stepmother saw them standing on the doorstep, she was furious. "Tomorrow," she seethed, "we'll go even deeper into the forest." That night Henry tried to sneak out to gather more pebbles, but the door was locked tight. So the next morning, he had to think of another plan. He used the small piece of bread he was given for breakfast, breaking it into tiny crumbs and dropping them along the path. But sadly, the hungry birds in the forest saw the crumbs and gobbled them all up. When night came, their trail was gone. Henry and Grace were truly lost. They wandered for hours and hours, feeling hungry, tired, and very scared. Then suddenly, Grace gasped and pointed. "Henry, look, a house made of candy!" It was the most wonderful sight they had ever seen. The roof was made of thick chocolate bars, the windows were crafted from sparkling sugar panes, and the walls were covered in delicious gingerbread cookies. The children couldn't resist. They ran to the house and began to nibble on the sweet treats. Just then, the door creaked open. An old woman with a crooked yet seemingly kind smile stepped out. "Oh, my poor little ones, you must be starving," she said softly. Come in, I have plenty for you to eat." But this woman was not kind at all. She was a wicked witch. She had built the candy house for one reason, to lure children inside. As soon as Henry and Grace stepped over the threshold, the witch slammed the heavy door shut. "You'll never leave," she cackled, her voice changing from sweet to cruel. "The boy will make a fine meal for my dinner." She grabbed Henry and locked him in a rusty cage. She then forced poor Grace to cook and clean all day long. "Fatten him up," the witch demanded every day. But Henry was smart. Each time the witch came to check if he was getting plump enough to eat, she would ask to feel his finger. Instead of his finger, Henry would poke a small, thin chicken bone through the bars of the cage. The witch's eyes were weak, and she couldn't see well. Thinking he was still far too thin, she would stomp away in frustration. Finally, the witch grew impatient. "I don't care if he's thin or fat, I'll eat him today," she shouted. She ordered Grace to heat up the giant oven in the kitchen. A few moments later, the witch barked, "Is it hot enough?" Grace, thinking quickly, pretended to be confused. "I don't know," she said innocently. "I can't tell. Can you check for me?" The witch grumbled and bent down, sticking her head into the oven to feel the heat. In that instant, Grace gave her a mighty push from behind and slammed the heavy iron door shut. The witch screamed and screamed, and then, in a puff of smoke, she was gone forever. Grace ran to free her brother. "Henry, she's gone. We're safe." As they looked around the witch's house, they discovered her hidden treasure, chests filled with gold, sparkling jewels, and shiny coins. They quickly filled their pockets until they couldn't hold any more. With their pockets full of treasure, they followed the cheerful song of a friendly little bird, which led them through the forest and all the way back to their own home. Their father was overjoyed to see them, hugging them tighter than ever before. He told them the wicked stepmother had left and was never coming back. From that day on, Henry, Grace, and their father lived happily ever after, with full hearts and finally full bellies. If you enjoyed this magical story, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We can't wait to share our next adventure with you. Thanks for watching.